The low-level northern part of the city was occupied by the Golden King Snake and the female Corpse King. The southern part of the city became the gathering place for the cannibalistic tribe of the Devourer clan. The western part of the city was controlled by the Rat King and his army of rats, while the eastern part was occupied by the Skull Crusher, Jie Chang, and Hell's Chef, Duan Ya. In his previous life, Suchin almost died multiple times at their hands. However, in this life, he has already dealt with Jie Chang and the Golden King Snake ahead of time. In order for him to stay strong, the best method is to get the remaining crystal cores for himself. However, the Devourer clan has a large population and numerous factions. On top of that, the female Corpse King is elusive, which makes it nearly impossible for him to find her now. In his previous life, the University of Technology had experienced a rat plague, which means that the Rat King should be there. All he has to do is find it in advance so he can get its crystal core with minimal effort. A few sounds from underwater break him from his thoughts. It seems like he has relaxed for too long, and multiple underwater creatures have ended up surrounding him. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the flooded city, two men hang on for dear life against the raging floodwaters. They desperately wonder how a flood broke out from the middle of nowhere. As they're clinging onto the tower, they notice someone rapidly swimming towards them. Anyone in the water should be as good as dead, but it looks like whoever that is has a lot of energy in them to be swimming that fast. It's not just that either, they also recognize the man speeding toward them. It's Soon, the guy that the Bureau had sent them to watch over. If it wasn't for him, then they wouldn't be stuck here in the flood. If he dares to join them up in the tower, they'll kick him right back into the water. One of the men notices that Suchin is moving really fast for someone that is barely surviving in the floodwaters. On top of that, it seems like someone is following him. Behind the man swimming like he owns the sea, there are multiple sea zombies sprinting through the water behind him. Despite that, Suchin is swimming faster than them. Against the rising current of the water, he continues getting closer to the men, and they shout warnings at him not to come any closer. Our protagonist recognizes them as people from the Federal Bureau of Evolution, and he's surprised that his influence has already spread that far. That's perfect for him, since he can get information out of them in this situation. Our man leaps out of the water onto the tower and uses one of the men as a stepping stone to get to the top. The man loses his grip and falls off the tower toward the zombie-infested waters below. Just before he can meet his wet end, his companion just barely manages to catch him by his arm and save him from death. But now, with the extra weight on one person, the two don't have a lot of time left to survive. At this rate, they will both end up falling into the water. The first man reassures his friend that he will definitely pull him up, but it's pointless, and if he doesn't let go, then they will both definitely die. Suchin takes the opportunity to ask them to tell him everything they know about the Federal Bureau of Evolution. The men refuse to speak up and warn Suchin that even if they die, there will be others to avenge them. If that's the fate they've chosen, then they can't blame him for what happens next. One of the zombies manages to latch onto the bigger man's foot and pull him into the water. His companion screams and dives in after, prepared to die with his friend. That turns out to be the wrong move, and they are both left at the mercy of the hundreds of creatures in the water. When all hope seems lost, Suchin dives into the water and uses a sword to slice through all the zombies that were about to attack them. In a second, they are saved and all the zombies are dead. The man wonders if Suchin really is human, since he seems to be way too strong. Regardless of the circumstances, though, they owe him one for saving them. They decide to tell him what they know. They tell him that they were sent by the Federal Bureau of Evolution to monitor him. The Bureau is located in the Science and Technology University, and it's led by Chief Liu and a team of researchers. They were just doing what they were told and following orders that came from above them. In Suchin's last life, the rat disaster happened at the Science and Technology University, and it seems like there is a connection between the rat disaster and the Federal Bureau of Evolution. He asks them if they research rats in the university's labs, but only researchers are allowed into the labs, so they don't know much about what goes on inside. Suchin realizes that no matter what, he has to go and investigate the situation before the rat disaster starts. Meanwhile, Dua, who is still in the Green City Hotel, had luckily obtained a crystal core from the zombie's head. After swallowing it, she starts to feel the same burning sensation that Sun felt when he first evolved. She wonders if she has succeeded and what powers this will unlock for her. But at the same time, she notices that the water has flooded all the way to the top floor. Inside that water, several small tentacles circle around her feet, ready to attack. By the time she notices the swarming tentacles, the monster has already wrapped itself around her body, lifting her off the floor and wrapping itself around her. It's slimy and gross, and with the way it ties around her, there's almost no way she can escape. Suddenly, the tentacle beast raises its mouth to her face and roars at her, revealing a throat filled with hundreds of razor-sharp teeth. It lunges at her, and she barely manages to catch it in her hands and stop it from biting into her. But the creature wraps itself around her hands further, stopping her from moving. More of them burst out from the water, and before she can think, she's completely entangled and surrounded by dozens of them. They all attacked so fast that she didn't even have enough time to get used to her new abilities. Her mind drifts back to Sun, and she remembers when he first showed her his space manipulation powers. He told her that as long as she finds and consumes a crystal nucleus, then she can obtain its ability. But because many monsters look ordinary, she won't always be able to tell what power a monster has just by their appearance. The best way for her to figure out her ability when she doesn't know what it is would be to feel it in her body and in the environment. Once she gains new abilities, she will be able to feel every change and then try to master and control it. She focuses on the environment, and eventually, she's able to feel the change in her body. She can see the little brains of the monsters that are attacking her, and she uses her new power to yell out a command, forcing them to stop moving. The tentacles listen to her command, and all of them fall limp at once, as if they had all just died. That leaves her free, but still covered in sticky goo. Now that they are all immobilized, she picks up her axe and cuts through all of them in an instant, turning them into minced meat. By the time she's done, she's covered in monster guts and slime, so she decides to take a bath. A voice behind her asks if he can join, and she turns around, ready to fight off another intruder.